Germany lost World War I. The war ended in 1918 and the Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919. But 2 decades later, in 1939, Germany was ready again for war. How could a nation so devastated in 1918 be prepared to fight on such a massive scale by 1939? In this video, the first episode of my series, World War II, From Beginning to End, will answer that question. How did Germany recover and rearm in just 20 years? Germany had lost the war. The conflict left the country exhausted, economically, politically, and morally. The Treaty of Versailles imposed heavy reparations and financial penalties. That debt weighed heavily on the nation. To cope, the Weimar government printed vast amounts of money. They hoped printing currency would let them pay debts quickly. But money alone is not a solution. It must be backed by real economic growth. Germany did not have that growth. The result was catastrophic: hyperinflation. Prices exploded, savings evaporated, and the German mark collapsed. At one point, a dollar was worth billions, even trillions of marks. People who had lived through the war now watched their lifetimes of savings disappear. Hyperinflation in 1923 became one of the defining crises of the Weimar Republic. I've made a separate video on hyperinflation, link in the description. By 1924, the United States stepped in with the Dawes Plan, an economic arrangement intended to stabilize Germany by providing loans and restructuring reparations. American money flowed into German banks and industry, helping rebuild factories and mend the shattered economy. Later, reparations were reduced further in 1928, easing pressure on Berlin. For a while, things improved. The late 1920s were a period of relative prosperity in many Western countries, sometimes called the Roaring Twenties. But it was fragile, and much of Germany's recovery depended on foreign loans, especially from the United States. Then, in 1929, the U.S. stock market crashed. The Great Depression followed. Factories closed, unemployment soared, investment dried up, and the loans that had propped up Germany were pulled away. Because Germany had become financially tied to the American economy, the crash devastated German industry and banking. Unemployment climbed to catastrophic levels, at times reaching around 30%. Imagine nearly 1 in 3 people without a job. Desperation and humiliation create fertile soil for political extremes. People who had survived war and inflation now faced bleak futures. When crisis hits, many search for someone to blame. And that is what happened in Germany.
Into this chaos stepped Adolf Hitler, a charismatic speaker who mastered emotion and spectacle. He offered simple answers to complex problems. He argued that Germany had not truly been defeated on the battlefield, but had been betrayed by politicians at home. He blamed Germany's problems on scapegoats, especially Jewish people, and on the terms of Versailles. Hitler promised something concrete and fast: jobs for the unemployed, stability for the nation. He even claimed he could end unemployment within 4 years. For people desperate for hope, that promise was intoxicating. Hate spread faster than compassion. That tragedy allowed him to gain mass support. When Hitler came to power in 1933, reviving the economy became the immediate priority. He pursued 3 major paths. 1. Public works, massive projects, new stadiums, schools, hospitals, and the famed Autobahn highways were used to create jobs and visible signs of progress. The 1936 Berlin Olympics showcased this revival. While propaganda presented these programs as national rebirth, the reality was mixed. Not everyone got stable, well-paid work, and much of the labor was tightly controlled by the state. 2. Rearmament. The Treaty of Versailles had imposed strict military limits on Germany. Hitler openly defied those limits. He rebuilt the army, created tank divisions, formed an air force, the Luftwaffe, and commissioned submarines and new battleships. Building weapons and military equipment required factories, engineers, and millions of workers, and that meant jobs and industrial activity. 3. Conscription. In 1935, conscription became mandatory for young men. Drafting unemployed youth into military service reduced measured unemployment and created a pool of trained soldiers for future campaigns. Pause. These combined policies, public works, rearmament, and conscription, provided rapid, visible relief. People had jobs, factories were busy, and national pride was restored. But the gains came at a cost. Workers' rights were suppressed, wages were modest, dissent was crushed, and the state violently excluded Jews and political opponents from economic life. The Nazi government's economic recovery depended on exclusion and repression. In 1935, the Nuremberg laws stripped Jews of citizenship and many civil rights. Many lost jobs and livelihoods. Propaganda painted a picture of national renewal, while police and intimidation ensured silence from critics. What looked like prosperity on the surface often masked brutality and fear beneath. Hitler's long-term plan was that conquest would recover Germany's losses. He believed that by expanding territory and seizing resources from neighboring countries, Germany could pay for its rearmament and secure its future. That strategy, coupled with the economic and social changes at home, set the stage for war. When World War II began in 1939, many Germans cheered early victories and believed a new empire could be built. But this path led to devastation far worse than the last war. So, how did Germany get ready for war again in just 20 years? It was a mix of economic fixes, foreign loans, propaganda, state-directed public works, rapid rearmament, conscription, and the brutal suppression of opposition. Those elements combined to rebuild industry and re-energize a broken nation, but at enormous moral and human cost. In the next video, we'll dive into the immediate causes of World War II, the political decisions, diplomatic failures, and events that actually triggered the conflict. If you're new here, I'm doing a full series called World War II, From Beginning to End. Subscribe and join the playlist so you don't miss the next episode.